Under current Minnesota law, 16 and 17-year-olds can get married with parental permission and judicial consent. A bill to ban marriage before the age of 18 and require proof of age passed the House last session. The Senate's author, Senator Sandy Pappas, now joins me. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Thanks. Only two states, New Jersey and Delaware, currently have an outright ban on marriage before the age of 18. Why should Minnesota become the third state?
Well, Minnesota has always prided itself as being ahead of the curve. So I think when you have legislators that recognize that this is a real problem, child marriage, that why not move forward? And as you mentioned, the House passed it last year, but you didn't mention the House passed it unanimously last year.
Yes, and so if the Senate were to pass it, then it would presumably go to the governor's desk.
That's right.
Do you know, is there a path for that bill yet this session?
Oh, of course. I'm on the list to bring it up on the floor of the Senate. And as you mentioned, it would go to the governor. The governor has given every indication he'll sign it, and it would become effective August 1st.
Now, just some history. How widespread is the practice of 16 and 17-year-olds getting married here in Minnesota?
Well, unfortunately, our Bureau of Statistics hasn't kept track. You'd have to go back county by county and go through the data because they do give their birth date when they get married. But we have some information from the census that we have about 1,200 children in Minnesota, or young women in Minnesota and men, who were married at underage, under 18.
And you mentioned young men. I think we often assume that this is young women who are getting married, but there are also young men who are getting married before the age of 18. What are some of the reasons that people are getting married before they can rent an apartment or vote or even buy a pack of cigarettes?
They're not legal. They can't sign a contract. If they get married, they can't get divorced. They can't go into a battered women's shelter. There are a lot of reasons. There are a lot of difficulties for child marriage. Plus, getting pregnant at that young age, there are health issues involved. You're more likely to have a premature birth or a baby with problems or impacted labor. So there's a lot of health reasons also why it's not a good idea for young people to get married. We're concerned that there could be untoward pressure, probably from parents that are pushing a child to get married.
When I was growing up, it was not unheard of for high schoolers to get married if there was a baby on the way. Back in my day, that was considered the right thing to do. So should there be an exception for religious or cultural reasons under these circumstances?
Absolutely not. And most religions and cultures are behind the idea of 18 as being the proper age for marriage. If a young girl gets pregnant, there's a much less stigma than there was during when we were younger, you and me. So she could still stay at home, she could still stay in school, she can get help with childcare. To force her out to start her own household is only going to mean poverty in the future because she doesn't have a high school diploma, and the divorce rate is twice as high for child marriages. So it's better to stay home, have the baby if you wish, and if they're still in love when they're 18, her and the baby's father, they can get married.
Now, in the press conference, one of the stories that was told was, and I've read this in multiple places, sometimes this is happening because a young girl has had intimate relations with a man who's older, and therefore it's statutory rape unless he marries her, and this is a way to stop that. How widespread do you think that is?
Well, enough that we hear about it. I don't know that it's super widespread. He has to also be in a position of authority in order for it to be statutory rape. So that also narrows the window. But why should we have a law that allows it? Even if it's only 1 or 2 children a year, we still should not allow it.
Is this interfering in any way with parental rights? Because we're talking about minor children who really don't have any rights. And whether or not she's pregnant, her parents, for any number of reasons, may believe that this is the right thing to do. Now, you said often the girl may feel pressured. And when you were a child, you would feel the pressure of wanting to please your parents. But does this interfere with parental rights?
Well, that's why even a provision like California has, which says that a judge has to take her into a separate room and talk to her about whether she's being pressured or not, but she still has to go back and face her parents. So I don't think that's really going to be very effective to see if it's really an independent choice. And frankly, you could call it child abuse. Parents should not be pushing their children into a relationship when they're too mature to really handle it.
The American Civil Liberties Union of California argued that banning marriage before 18, quote, unnecessarily and unduly intrudes on the fundamental rights of marriage. The Children's Law Center of California worries that raising the age would prevent minors from leaving the foster care system through emancipation. Apparently in California, this is a way of getting out of the foster care system. Does this apply in any way to Minnesota, in your view?
Well, there's really two issues. The first issue was whether it infringes on constitutional rights to marriage. States can set their laws as they will in terms of marriage, and many states have set it at 18 or 16 or 17 or whatever, and even if they've been set at 12, no one has ever interfered with that. So I think we do have a right as a state to set our minimum marriage age. The question about the foster care system, is it really like jumping from the frying pan into the fire? Do you want to remove yourself from a difficult foster care situation into a difficult marriage where there could be abuse, where you don't finish high school, where you're stuck in poverty, where you maybe get pregnant before you should be for your health or both your emotional, mental, and physical health? I think if we do have an emancipation process in Minnesota, and it might be just better for a child to use that process rather than jump into marriage.
You mentioned that this passed unanimously in the House. Do you expect similar support in the Minnesota Senate?
I do. I'm very hopeful that we'll have it. It has bipartisan support. And anytime people have raised objection, it tends to be things like, why should we interfere with a Romeo-Juliet romance? Well, how'd that turn out? Not so good. Read the play, watch the movie, they're dead at the end. In case you didn't remember that, that's not such a good idea. And it is true in the ethnic communities, there are sometimes cultural marriages, but we really need to encourage them to have legal marriage at legal age, because then both parties have a certain amount of legal rights. They have child custody rights, they have child support rights. They can get divorced if they need to. They can get into a battered women's shelter if they need to. So making the legal age 18 is really best for everyone.
Senator Pappas, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.